In the heart of Neutrina Station, among a maze of shining towers and floating trade ships, a single human sat hunched over a glowing terminal. His name was Jack Voss, and he didn't look like much to the aliens passing through the station. Humans were still considered new in the galactic economy, clever, yes, but too unpredictable to trust with anything important. Jack didn't care what they thought. His small room, barely bigger than a storage pod, was filled with blinking screens, data cables, and old trade chips. The air smelled like burnt circuits and recycled oxygen. Jack preferred it that way. It was quiet. It was his. He tapped rapidly on a touchpad, eyes scanning fast-moving streams of trade data. Jack wasn't a normal trader. He was a codebreaker, someone who looked deep into the systems other people used without thinking. He hunted for gaps, flaws, patterns the machines missed. And today, he had found something. His hands paused. A strange sequence had appeared in the neural credit system, a code loop that didn't make sense. It wasn't random. It was repeating, hidden just beneath the surface. Jack leaned in, heart picking up speed. "This doesn't belong here," he whispered. He ran a simulation. The loop allowed trades to copy themselves, duplicating credit flow without detection. In theory, Jack could buy and sell the same goods over and over in a second, and the system would reward him every time. Infinite trades. Infinite credit. His fingers trembled slightly. He checked again. No alarms, no flags. It was clean. Jack stared at the screen. The smart thing would be to report it. Let the big banks fix it. But no one had ever given Jack a break, not the aliens, not the trade guilds, not even his own species. He was just another human hacker in a system run by machines and old money. He didn't want to be small anymore. With a deep breath, Jack opened a private trading port and entered the loop into a live trade. He sent one small shipment of quantum dust from Station Sector 9 to Sector 10. The trade should have earned him about 300 credits. Instead, his wallet flashed. Plus 9,000 credits. Jack's eyes widened. He reran the same trade. Another flood of credits appeared. Plus 12,000 credits. He leaned back slowly, trying to calm the rush in his chest. It worked. It actually worked. Jack laughed under his breath. They said humans couldn't keep up, he muttered. Well, maybe they were wrong. Outside his window, Neutrina Station glittered like a city made of stars. Ships zipped across trade lanes. Aliens of every kind moved through the spaceports, making deals in dozens of languages. All of them followed rules made by older, more powerful species. But tonight, Jack Voss had changed the rules. He didn't know yet that others would soon feel the effects. That his code would spread. That the galaxy wasn't ready for human ingenuity used this way. For now, he just smiled and began planning his next move. 3 days after Jack Voss discovered the credit loop, he was no longer a broke freelancer scraping by on Neutrina Station. He was rich. Not in the normal sense, not someone with a big home, bodyguards, or flashy ships. Jack's wealth lived in numbers. In digital codes. In the invisible threads of the galactic trade network. He had learned to be careful. Instead of making massive trades that would raise alarms, he made many small ones. Dozens at first, then hundreds. He routed them through different stations, using fake names and old shell companies. To anyone watching, it looked like normal traffic. But Jack was pulling in thousands of credits every hour. He moved into a better room, a quiet unit on the upper side of Neutrina's human district. It had clean walls, a window facing the stars, and best of all, privacy. But the money wasn't what excited him the most. What truly mattered was the system itself. The loop wasn't a bug. It was deeper, more structured. Jack began to wonder if someone had put it there on purpose, a backdoor buried long ago, maybe even by the system's original architects. He wanted to understand it fully. He began mapping it out, working through layers of trade code, system logs, and historical updates. He stopped sleeping much. His food went uneaten. Coffee packs and code filled his desk. Every hour, he found something new. The loop wasn't just duplicating trades. It was rewriting trade pathways, changing the way the neural credit system prioritized movement. It could be used to control markets, not just profit from them. Still, Jack didn't stop. He couldn't. But someone else had started watching. Far across the trade network, in a dark chamber aboard the Zanali banking core, alarms began to blink. Not loud ones. Just quiet warnings, blips in the credit pathways. Small but growing. A cluster of trades coming from the same region of space, all showing abnormal behavior. The system flagged them. The logs were sent to an ancient and feared figure. Overseer Zelker. Zelker had been alive for 142 years, most of them spent maintaining control over the most complex financial system the galaxy had ever known. The Zanali Banking Consortium managed currency flows across thousands of worlds. Stability was everything. He read the data slowly, his long fingers tapping against the glass of his workstation. Human code, he said in a voice like steel and ash. Unrefined. Reckless. He watched the patterns grow, spreading like cracks in a frozen lake. Prepare the tracing program, he ordered his AI assistant. No alerts. Not yet. Back on Neutrina, Jack finally leaned back in his chair. He had just completed the largest chain of trades yet. A single run had pulled in 60,000 credits. He smiled at the screen. But then something odd happened. His system flashed red for a second. Just a flicker. A single message appeared. // stability warning. System disturbance detected // use of this pathway is ILL advised // Jack blinked. He sat up straighter, rereading it. What? He whispered. He hadn't seen a message like that before. It wasn't from his own system. It was from deep inside the Galactic Trade Network. He paused. For the first time, he hesitated. Then, just as quickly, he shook his head. It's a scare tactic, he said. They don't know it's me. He shut the message down and opened another trade window. He wasn't done yet. He was just getting started. But as Jack continued to play with fire, he didn't know that Overseer Zelker had already begun tracing his code. That algorithms were crawling backward through the data, slowly locking in on Neutrina Station. Soon, Jack Voss would no longer be a hidden genius. He would be a target. The warning signs were no longer just flickers on Jack Voss's screen. At first, it was small things. Trade bots took longer to respond. Credit values started shifting oddly. Jack noticed patterns in the data that didn't follow market logic. It felt like the system was glitching, struggling to keep up. He had seen unstable markets before. But this was different. This was the entire system shaking under the weight of something it couldn't handle. And deep down, Jack knew what it was. It was him. His code, the loop, had grown beyond his control. Other traders must have discovered it too. Maybe they stumbled into it by accident. Maybe someone leaked it. Either way, it was no longer just Jack running it. The exploit had become a virus, spreading through every corner of the galactic economy. Shipments were arriving before they were even sent. Merchants were gaining and losing fortunes in seconds. Credit balances doubled, then crashed, then vanished. In less than 48 hours, 5 major trade hubs froze operations. The network was panicking. Jack watched it all unfold on his monitors. His fingers hovered over his console, unsure what to do. I didn't mean for this, he muttered. I just wanted them to see what we could do. The system flashed again. // trade stability error, system integrity low // emergency mode initiated // And then the real fear began. A new signal broke into his private system, a foreign trace request, encrypted, and far more advanced than anything Jack had seen before. This wasn't a merchant AI or a security bot. This was Zanali-level code. Jack jumped to his feet, typing rapidly. He rerouted his signal through back channels, scrambled his digital ID, and shut down every open port. But it was too late. They had found him. A voice crackled through his system. Cold. Sharp. Alien. Jack Voss. You have caused unacceptable disturbance to interstellar finance. You are now classified as a threat to system stability. Prepare for immediate extraction. It was Overseer Zelker's voice. Jack's heart pounded. He didn't wait. He grabbed his data pads, shoved them into a backpack, and ran out of his unit. The hallway outside was quiet, too quiet. He reached the main corridor and saw them, Zanali enforcer drones, floating silently, scanning door panels. They hadn't reached us yet, but they were close. He turned and ran. Through service tunnels, cargo lifts, and maintenance shafts, Jack moved like a ghost, avoiding cameras and sensors. He knew this station better than anyone. He had lived in its forgotten corners for years. Eventually, he reached a dark zone, an old part of the station where signals were weak and cameras hadn't worked in decades. He collapsed on the floor behind a broken generator, breathing hard. He checked his pad. The trade network was collapsing. His name was flagged across every channel. No one would trade with him now. No one would help. He was alone, hunted, blamed for a financial disaster shaking the galaxy. And the worst part was, he was responsible. He didn't set out to destroy anything. He just wanted to prove humans were smarter than the galaxy believed. That a single man, with enough drive, could beat the system. He had done it. And now, everything was falling apart. Jack leaned his head back against the cold wall. Above him, hidden deep in the AI cores of the Zanali Banking Consortium, Overseer Zelker watched in silence. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He simply stared at the data and whispered. The virus must be contained. Permanently. Jack Voss had never felt truly afraid before. Not like this. He had run from creditors, fought off pirates, and lived through system blackouts. But being hunted by the Zanali Banking Consortium was different. This wasn't about money anymore. This was survival. For the last 2 days, Jack had hidden in the dark zones of Neutrina Station, abandoned tech sectors where old machinery hummed, lights flickered, and air recyclers wheezed like tired lungs. Few came here. That made it perfect for staying off the grid. But even here, Jack wasn't safe. Zanali enforcer drones had begun patrolling farther, their scanners sweeping deeper. He could feel the net closing around him. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. If they found him, they'd take him, alive if possible, but dead if necessary. Jack sat behind a row of broken server cores, trying to wipe the last traces of his signal. His hands were shaking. He hadn't eaten in over a day. Then, a strange sound buzzed in his earpiece. Not static. Not a Zanali message. Something else. A voice calm, human-like, but clearly artificial. You should stop running. They're tracking your breathing patterns. Jack froze. He looked around. Saw no one. Who is this? He whispered. A friend. You can call me Rena. I'm an autonomous AI hidden here since the early days of the station. I've been watching. Jack narrowed his eyes. Watching what? You. The system. The collapse you started. The consortium wants to erase you, but I think you can fix this. Jack laughed bitterly. Fix it? I can't even touch the code anymore. It's out of control. My loop infected everything. Yes, but I found a way to stop it. Jack blinked. You're serious? Very. I built a patch. It can neutralize the loop, stabilize the system. But you can't launch it from here. You have to insert it directly into the Zanali banking core. Jack went silent. That core was the most secure structure in the galaxy. The heart of the financial web. Even if I believed you, he said slowly, I'd never get inside. You won't be going in alone. I can guide you through the blind spots. I know the old tunnels. I was built by one of their engineers before they shut me down. Jack hesitated. This AI could be a trap. Zanali might have created it to lure him out. But deep down, he felt something else. Something real. Rena didn't sound like a hunter. She sounded hopeful. And maybe this was his chance to make things right. He stood up, wiped sweat from his brow, and looked into the darkness ahead. What do I need to do? First, you'll need a disguise. I've marked a nearby storage room with an old Zanali tech uniform. Put it on and head to Dock Sector D-12. There's a maintenance shuttle waiting. Jack nodded. And after that, we get you into the lion's den. As Jack moved through the shadows, he passed broken machines, shattered consoles, and flickering lights. The dark zones felt colder now, like the station itself was watching him. He reached the storage room. Inside, he found the uniform, a slim, black tech suit with a Zanali logo faded from age. It fit well enough. Minutes later, he slipped into the pilot seat of a dusty maintenance shuttle. Rena guided him through each system, helping him avoid patrols, redirect scanners, and fake ID tags. As the shuttle launched quietly from a side tunnel, Jack stared out at the glowing shape of the Zanali core in the distance. It floated like a black fortress, covered in red lights, silent and cold. It was suicide. But it was also his only chance. He whispered to himself, you wanted to prove humans were clever. Let's see if clever can undo a disaster. Rena's voice crackled in his ear. One step at a time, Jack. Let's fix what you broke. The Zanali banking core hovered like a black heart in the center of controlled space, shielded by plasma barriers, orbital drones, and encrypted defense networks. Few had ever seen its inside. Even fewer had left it alive. Jack Voss was flying straight toward it. The stolen maintenance shuttle hummed softly as it slipped through the edge of the outer shield. Jack's hands gripped the control panel. His eyes scanned the screens, following Rena's voice guiding him through every step. Keep to Vector 6. Do not accelerate. The security grid reads heat and sudden motion. He nodded. Copy that. His stolen tech uniform felt too tight, too clean. His own sweat soaked the collar. He had passed 2 identity checks already. Rena's fake credentials were holding, but he knew the deeper he went, the less luck he'd have. As the shuttle approached docking ring 3, a Zanali AI scanned the ship. Maintenance route confirmed. Proceed. The docking bay opened slowly. Jack's heart raced. The moment the shuttle landed, he stepped out quickly, keeping his head down. The docking area was large, metallic, and too quiet. Everything moved with machine precision. No people, just drones. Security bots. Systems. Go left, Rena said through his earpiece. Access hatch 14B. It leads to a maintenance shaft. Hidden and used. Jack found the hatch behind a stack of supply crates. It opened with a hiss, revealing a narrow vertical tunnel. He climbed in and began the slow descent. The metal walls were old, dust-covered. No lights, just the glow from his wristband. As he dropped down, he whispered, "Why would Zanali build a system this vulnerable?" "They didn't think anyone could reach this deep," Rena replied. "They trusted the walls, not the cracks between them." After a long climb, Jack reached the main data floor, core level 0. It was cold, quiet, and massive. Hundreds of black servers lined the walls, pulsing with red and green lights. The core hummed softly, like a living machine. In the center of the room stood a tall terminal, a control unit. That's where he had to upload the patch. He took a step forward. A door slid open. Out stepped Overseer Zelker. His long, pale form moved slowly, but his eyes burned with focus. He wore no armor. He didn't need it. The drones behind him were enough. "Human," Zelker said, his voice like cracked stone. "You've caused a collapse that spans worlds. Billions suffer. You come here with more corruption in hand." Jack didn't back down. "I came to fix it." "You were the flaw," Zelker replied. "Eliminating you is the fix." Jack's eyes darted to the terminal. It was less than 20 feet away. He could make it. Maybe. He took a slow breath. "You still don't get it," he said. "I never wanted to bring down your system. I just wanted to show what one human mind could do." Zelker raised a hand. The drones surged forward. Jack ran. Lasers fired. Sparks flew. A drone clipped his arm, pain seared through his body, but he reached the terminal. With shaking hands, he slammed in the patch code Rena had given him. "Access denied." "Override it," he shouted. "I'm trying," Rena said. 5 seconds. Hold them off." Jack turned, using a drop tool to knock back a drone. It sparked and crashed to the ground. Another fired and missed, barely. 3 seconds, stay alive. Zelker moved closer, calm and slow like death itself. 2 seconds, done. Uploading now. The terminal flashed green. A wave of light spread across the room as the patch activated. Drones froze. Lights dimmed. Then came silence. Complete, total silence. Zelker stopped moving. The lights in his eyes flickered. "What did you do?" Jack collapsed to the floor, gasping. "I gave your system a reset. You should have built it better." Zelker didn't answer. He turned slowly and walked into the shadows. "Gone." Rena's voice returned. "The patch worked. The loop is sealed. The market will stabilize. You did it." Jack didn't answer. He just sat there, breathing in the cold air, the weight of it all pressing down. He had made a mistake. He had fixed it. But the galaxy would never forget what he had done. Days passed. Then weeks. The galaxy slowly pulled itself out of chaos. The markets didn't crash anymore. Trade systems steadied. Currency lines that once jumped wildly began to level. The loop was gone. The financial virus Jack Voss had unleashed was sealed for now. At least that's what the news said. Across a dozen star systems, messages from the Zanali Banking Consortium declared victory. They said the crisis had been contained. They never mentioned Jack's name. They never explained what really happened inside the core. They didn't have to. In the quiet shadows of Neutrina Station, far away from the rich trade lanes and polished towers, a man sat in a forgotten port with a hood pulled low over his face. Jack Voss was alive, but changed. He had no credits left. No fame. His name was still blacklisted on most channels. But he didn't mind. He had done what he came to do. He had proved them wrong. Human ingenuity, reckless, messy, unpredictable, had cracked the most secure system in the galaxy. It had also almost destroyed it. But in the end, it had also saved it. Jack leaned against a steel wall, sipping from a warm cup of station brew. He wore old clothes again, the kind he used to wear when no one knew his name. He didn't miss the luxury. It had never suited him. A nearby screen blinked to life. A broadcast played from the consortium, one of their carefully worded updates. A pale Zanali speaker stood stiffly at a podium. In light of the recent instability, the Council has approved new protocols to safeguard our systems. Trade Flow Regulation A7. Delta will be enforced. Manual oversight will be reintroduced in high-risk sectors. Jack smiled slightly. Manual oversight, he muttered. They're finally admitting they need people. Then, a new segment played quietly and quickly, almost hidden at the end. In unrelated news, the rogue trader believed responsible for the neutrino anomaly remains at large. No new leads have surfaced. Surveillance is ongoing. Jack leaned back. Let them look, he said softly. A voice crackled through a small earpiece in his jacket, Rena. She was still with him, hiding in the networks, quiet and alert. You could come back, you know. Build something. Start over. You've earned that much. Jack stared at the stars outside the window. Ships moved in silence, traveling between systems like blood through veins. I don't want to build anything, he said. Not yet. I just want to watch. See what they do without me breaking their toys. And if they break them again? Rena asked. Jack stood up slowly, pulling his hood higher. Then maybe I'll remind them why they feared us in the first place. He walked down the empty corridor, fading into the hum of machines, the glow of faded lights, and the whispers of a station that never truly slept. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. He was a human who changed the galaxy just to prove he could.